Hello viewers, here is a Honeywell Enviracare True HEPA filtration air filter. This is a filter that we had at the first house. This goes way back. I have a photograph of it somewhere, and the reason why I was looking for this is because I was looking through some photographs from that house to try to find the cordless phone that we had there, and I found a photograph of the cordless phone, and in this particular photograph it was sitting on top of this filter, and then I remembered the filter, and then this happened to show up at the Habitat. So again, here we go, a pretty rare item showing up at the Habitat. I gotta find that photograph. I'm not gonna, well, if I don't think it's a Digitan photograph. I think it's old enough to be like a piece of paper photograph. If it happens to be a Digitan photograph, or if I can scan it in and the scanner works correctly, I will overlay it into the video here so you can see what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm fairly certain this was the filter that we had. I kind of remember it vaguely, not particularly well. But I remember the air coming out the bottom like this. I remember the switch being kind of similar. I don't know what became of that filter. I think we might have given it to somebody or something. I don't really know. But pretty confident this is the one that we had. The model number is 13520. And it is made in USA. And unfortunately it's made of US and foreign components. 1.5 amps. I don't see a date code on here, but it's got to be from the 90s or the very early 2000s. And these were, even if this isn't the model that we had, it's still a really good machine. Is that a date code there? I don't know. Maybe that little thing is the date code? I don't know. Anyways, these were really good machines, and clearly they stood the test of time, because here's this one 20 years later still going. They're kind of bulky and they're kind of loud. I have a newer one that I use upstairs. It's got a slightly different design. The motor's in the top and the air comes out the top, which kind of makes more sense as far as like being able to circulate the air in the room. And I find it really works pretty well. It cuts down on the dust in the room quite a bit. Let's open this up here. So this comes off, and the design is very similar in a lot of ways to the newer one that I have. And this comes off the filter, pre-filter anyways, and it's pretty dusty. Let's see here. I don't want to make too much of a mess. Yeah, this definitely has some hours on it. Oh, that HEPA filter is in dire need of being replaced. That's supposed to be white. You can see on the inside what it looks like when it's cleaned. So that definitely has to be replaced. That's filthy. I think this may be the same filter that the other one I have uses. Maybe it's a slightly different height. It's definitely very similar though. Probably could still get these filters. Okay, let's take a look at the motor. The motor is pretty sizable. It's going to be very hard to see in there. Looks like it's a PSC motor. I don't see any oil ports, but it's pretty big. And there's no oil port. That kind of stinks, but could be oiled, I'm sure, if you just split it open like I often do anyways. And it looks like this would be pretty easy to service too. I think it's just those 4 screws to take the bottom off. Okay. Here is the plug. This is a polarized plug. So I guess it can't be all that old if it's still polarized. This is all knotted up. What in the world they did to this cord? Alright, I'm going to get the kilowatt meter out and we'll plug this up and see how it works. Right now we are testing at 121.2 volts. And we'll start off on the low speed, which happens to come first. Bearing sounds a little dry, but that's not surprising after 20-something years. Seems to run just fine. Doesn't feel like it's really that out of balance. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Seems to be a fair bit quieter than the other one that I have. Well, it puts out a lot of air. Actually, quite a bit of air. Okay, let's go to the 2. Oh, let's look at the power first. 0.78 amps. And that is 1.05 amps. It's kind of noisy, but it is putting out a lot of air. Seems to have suction all the way up to the top, which is kind of surprising because this is a really thick filter. Okay, and we'll go to the high. And that is 1.43 amps. So that's right about where it should be. We're really moving the air around. I don't think that's as loud as the other one that I have. Probably can't really see the... Maybe we can see this thing down time. Let's see. Oh yeah, I guess we'll be able to. That's not too bad for a probably relatively lightweight plastic impeller on sleeve bearings. Okay, so that seems to work just fine. I'll get this cleaned up and I very well may put this in the bedroom and use this in place of the newer one that I have. The other thing I kind of like about this one for the bedroom anyways is that the air comes out the bottom, so it's not going to move the air around in the, you know, like in the living area, because with the newer one that I have, it blows air out the top and it drafts over the bed. I don't like that, so this probably wouldn't do that. I'm not sure if this would circulate the air quite as well, but it would solve the issue of having a cold breeze on the bed in the middle of winter.